I'm interested in figuring out how humans can live on this planet and still leave it a better place than how we have found it. And so some of what I think about is trying to measure a little bit better the impact that human actions have on non-human nature. And so I get to think about how to find ways to produce food that works both for humans and works for surrounding nature. My name is Joséphine Gantois. I am an assistant professor at the University of British Columbia, appointed both in the Food and Resource Economics program in Land and Food Systems and in the Institute for Resources, Environment and Sustainability in the Faculty of Science. My original training is in economics, so that's thinking a lot especially about the farm as a business, the farmer as someone who makes a living. And I have also training in ecology, and that gets me to think about quality of habitat, what impacts does nature and agricultural landscapes have on existing wildlife. I also work quite a bit with computer science tools like machine learning, especially to try to understand how to make ecological data, which is very difficult to measure at large scales, try to scale up that data a little bit and integrate it with economic models or larger scale models. And what I bring in as well, and that's a little more recent, is maybe I would call it sociological approaches, thinking about how the farmer is thinking and understanding that not only from an economic reasoning perspective, but thinking about the farmer's relationship to the land, thinking about the farmer's environmental objectives along with the economic objectives. And then the last bit I would say is trying to think a little bit like a land use planner or a landscape ecologist, looking at maps a lot, looking at satellite data to try to connect actions on the ground. So when you look at one particular farm, it's going to have impacts that, I guess, spill over to the nearby land. And ultimately, it connects a lot over even broad regions because the animals travel, populations of different species have to sustain themselves using very different types of spatial connections.